industry standard bike, which is Yamaha MT-09, along with the owner.
It just got real. Say how you feel. Got is mad. Yeah, that's too bad. Off of my I got them stressed out. Look at me, I'm blessed now. Tell them I'm the best out. Giving up the last. You get to see my third eye. You see my halo. Untamed, no cage, ho. Different payroll. I'm about my banknotes. Good look, they taking those. What if we waiting on? It's what I prayed for, right? Yeah. Black, let them back. Just how I get my lick back. On the get back. They won't hit me, get the last lap. I'm the last. Standing all in the grass patch. Running cash grab.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, man.
I guess it wouldn't be a better long-term review than from the owner directly, because how long do you have this bike for?
Just over a year. I bought it in May 23.
And how did you get to this bike?
Well, I had a KTM before, and I loved it. It was the 890. It was basically the equivalent of this, but from KTM, with slightly more power, slightly lighter. It was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, I've had... Can I swear on this show?
Yeah, go on.
Sweet. I had a complete shit show when it came to KTM, with how they dealt with me, with how the bike was dealt with. Every time I had an issue, it was months of waiting. They always said it was for parts, and I just got tired and bored of it. So eventually I went, I need to go back to Japanese bikes. I used to have a ZX6R, so I thought maybe I'll go for a newer one. But then I was like, I do like the look of Yamahas, and the engine in this just always had that beautiful sound. And I was like, I'm gonna test ride one. As soon as I was on it, I was like, yep, this is it. That's how I came to it. It was through trial and error with other bikes, and just finding the sort of middle happy ground with power, speed, agility, all of that.
What do you use this bike for?
Everything.
So that's your daily bike?
Yep. It goes from literally riding on weekends, commuting to work. I just took it to Nürburgring, which was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It does it all.
Any problems?
So far, no. I've had the dash freeze up a couple of times. I heard that can get more frequent with time, but I've only had it happen 3 times over the space of like a year and a month or something. So overall, no issues. With how I treat it, how I ride it, it's been very good, yeah. She gets abused a little bit sometimes.
I love it, man. What have you done to this bike?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I just changed the mirrors. I took off the stock mirrors. I wanted something a bit more sort of stealthy, less in the way, especially when I'm riding through the city and filtering and stuff. Stock mirrors or bar end mirrors usually get in the way. They make your bike wider, or they're just at an annoying height where when you're trying to get through traffic, you're having to do that kayaking movement to get past the mirrors and stuff. It's really annoying. So I saw someone on YouTube with, I think it was in like Malaysia or something, and he had a very similar setup with mirrors here. And I was like, I wonder if I can get them. So these are actually just bar end mirrors that are fitted onto the actual handlebars, and it works great. It doesn't give you the same visibility as regular mirrors, obviously, because they don't come out as far, but I can see under my arms into the blind spot, and it kind of does what I needed to do, and the rest I just do with my head. Apart from that, it came already from the previous owner with SP engineering exhaust, heated grips. He's put on little mods from Yamaha, which are like the indicators. The heated grips are from Yamaha, and apparently he's done a flash tune on it. I don't know what it was done to it, but when I had it serviced at Yamaha, I asked them and they said, yes, there is a flash tune on it. They don't know what it's changed in terms of power or anything like that, but there is something done to it, and it pops and bangs a lot. So I like what the previous owner did. I'm just enjoying the bike.
I tried this bike. This is gonna be my favorite part of the video. I am not by any means professional reviewer or anything like that. I have a little bit of the experience riding a bigger bikes here and there. My daily one is obviously Juke 390. I'll try to describe the best I can the riding experience of this machine. Thank you very much for trusting me with this one, man. I'll be gentle. I'm not gonna push this bike at all. Let's start this. Yeah. Okay, let's try. First thing I feel straight away is that gear travel. Doesn't travel that much. I don't know what's the gearbox technology etc in this bike, but the gear traveling is like, there's almost no travel. It's like tapping. You're just tapping this gear. It feels like pressing the button really when you're changing the gears on this bike. Obviously the exhaust sounds like no other. Beautiful sound of this V-twin engine. The mirrors looks kind of funny, but I like them because you can nicely filter. All right, let's open. Oh. Okay. Oh man, the brakes is like you touch with one finger and this thing is braking. The seat is very comfortable on this bike. Maybe not very, but decently comfortable. Oh yes! I'm not sure how much you've heard of that bang. Oh man, this is very torquey machine. Very torquey machine. The sitting position is quite straight. I feel like I'm sitting on the chair. It's not sporty at all. At least for me, I'm 177 high. This bike feels very good. I mean, it's just joy to ride. The torquiness. Well, to be honest, I'm quite surprised. The torquiness is not that much. I've ride this bike once before, and today I feel much more confident on it. I don't know why, but okay, now I've bottomed it up. That was bottom. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, let's go to the straight road and let's bottom it up. Oh man, I absolutely love this bike. Man, having this much power is tempting, but it's fun. But you really need to know what you're doing with this bike. It's comfortable. I like this sitting position. This sitting position is much less sporty than on my Duke. On my Duke, I feel like I'm more forward, much more forward than I am on this machine. Oh yeah, beautiful sound of that exhaust. Really refined bike. If you will let the throttle down, it doesn't like jitter. It's like it's nice and smooth all the way. All right, let's try. Suspension nice and soft. I'm not sure what's the setting right now. You can adjust it, this suspension pretty much on the fly. I feel like this bike is made for like everyday riding. It cannot go wrong with this. Quite wide bike. I feel like I have quite a bit of engine in between the legs. Oh, this bassy sound. Absolutely love the sound of this machine. You feel quite high on this bike. It doesn't sit very low to the ground. At least doesn't feel like. Handles very well. And I like them pads. Kuba just installed them pads. And you feel much more connected to this bike. I think I'm gonna use them pads also in my bike. The quick shifter, oh. I wish to have one, but I feel like I'm gonna put quick shifter on the next bike I'm gonna own. At the moment, I'm still enjoying changing them gears. MT-09, plenty of torque, plenty of power, very refined machine. This version sounds beautifully, seating is very comfortable, suspension is there, handles perfectly. I mean, this bike is everything you would want from the naked bike. Absolutely joy to ride.
I was a bit scared when you flew past. I was like, oh fuck, he's gonna stop. I was like, that corner is coming up quick. But it's always different when you're watching someone.
Yeah,
the
same when I was looking at you when you was passing near that camera. I was like, that's quick.
Yeah.
Before I was thinking this engine is a little bit too much. Now I'm thinking it's actually fine, you know.
I told you.
It's not too much. It's like, I think it's perfect.
It's like, it doesn't have the top end. It's not like a sports bike where towards the end you can feel it starts dropping off the power. But all around that mid-range, it's almost like perfect all-around middle bike. You're not gonna get, you know, crazy top speeds or anything like that, but around the city and the way we ride with everyone we know, for me, perfectly in the middle for everything.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that I can commute on it and be comfortable, you know, like
Yeah.
it's-
I've literally said that it's perfect everyday bike. The sitting position, all of the features it has. I love them pads. You really feel connected to the bike
Yeah.
with them pads. I absolutely love them. I think I'm gonna put them on my bike as well.
every bike should get them. You instantly feel more confident on the bike because you feel it exactly where you are. When you're braking, you're not sliding forward and hitting your nuts on the tank, like attached to it rather than sitting on it.
Can you bottom this bike up ever? Or you like how is
In Germany, I did.
Okay.
Like when I say I didn't top out the top speed because we didn't go onto the autobahn, but like in terms of pushing it to the limit, we did what we could on the like public roads and Nürburgring. But through London, it can be a bit too much. Like I'm used to it, but in terms of power, you're never using the full power because it's 120 horsepower on a street bike. Where in London, most roads are 20s and 30s, so you never get to use it. But at least down low, it sounds quite sort of deep and pops a little bit here and there. So it's quite nice even when you're riding it slow. With this is probably the scariest bike I've had in terms of how it is quite aggressive. The KTM was a bit more refined, so it was a bit easier to handle.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, even though it had more power and it had way more tech, I think probably because of the tech, it was just easier to manage and because it was lighter. With this, I've had a few scary moments where I'm like, whoa, am I riding the bike or is the bike in control here? Like it's like it catches you off guard. But once you kind of figure those little things out, it's you get used to it. It's you know how to ride a bike. You can ride. You could jump on a Hayabusa and be able to ride it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you use the full potential of the bike. Just like I'll never use the full potential of this. I'm not a pro rider. You know?
I mean, I feel like everyone is different, and the problem I have personally is like I have a big influence from other riders. I saw when I was riding with you, you ride you and you ride your ride. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, if I see someone's trying, I'm gonna try harder.
I see.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not, that's why I'm like, 400 is fine for now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this is scary bike for me. When I try it, I was like, I've touched it and I'm like, man, this like is so much power and torquiness.
Yeah. So that's one thing with these bikes, and I've heard everyone who's had it complain about it, is when you're down low, the throttle is really jerky, so it feels like it just wants to go all the time. But once you kind of get used to controlling that with the clutch a bit, obviously it rubs the clutch a bit more than you probably want to, but like with the clutch you can kind of control that. And then once you're up in the revs a little bit, it's way smoother. So it's just one of the characteristics of the bike.
I remember you mentioned something that the throttle is controlled by cable and like electronically as well, right?
I remember watching the video because after I got it, because of the throttle being really jerky, I looked it up and it was some sort of hybrid where don't quote me on this, I'm not entirely sure because it was a while ago. Yeah. But I remember it was something like just before the throttle bodies, it either went to electronic from cable or the other way around. I can't remember, but it was some weird hybrid system where it wasn't just cable and it wasn't just electronic. Okay. It was like a combination of the two, which I don't know whether it makes it worse or better. Maybe they were a lot worse without that system, or I don't know, but for some reason that's what they did. And I guess it works.
How fast did you go on this in Germany?
On Nürburgring, we got to like 210 kilometers an hour. I don't know what the conversion is from that to miles, but problem I had on Nürburgring, I didn't notice it straight away, but my clutch wasn't set up properly. So the bike was never getting the full power because the clutch was never fully connected, so it was always slipping slightly. And on the second lap, I could smell it, and I could smell it a lot. So, even though it was still going, I was like, it's no longer pulling up the front wheel when I'm like flooring it, like there was like a bit of weirdness, and I was like, why? And then when I smelt it, and I was like, that's why, because it wasn't getting a full power. So I got to like just over 200, 210. But again, when you're on a track like that, you're not watching the speed, you're just watching
definitely. You need to be super focused, I would imagine.
But on the KTM, when I had that, we went to Germany 2 years ago, and I topped that out at 158 miles an hour. That was fully stock, naked bike down the autobahn.
How did that feel?
Terrifying, man.
Was it? The fastest I ever did on a naked bike was in Germany, 121, and then I felt like I can push it further, but everything was so jittery.
Yeah. So the good thing about the Duke is that it came with a steering dampener from stock.
Oh, right.
Which this doesn't have. This is one of the things I'd love to get for it, because While I've never had a speed wobble on this, I have had it on when I had the Ninja, and it's terrifying. I remember I did it, I dropped the bike a few months before. I replaced the fairings with completely new, different looking set, put it together, and I didn't realize, because to get the front mudguard off on the Ninja, we had to take the front wheel off, because I had these stupid clips on the mudguard, yeah. So we had to take the wheel off. When we put it back on backwards without knowing. Something was off balance, whether it was the weights or something. I was with my friend who has a 899 Panigale. It was a Sunday evening, clear roads. He went for it. I followed, and then suddenly I just got, and then suddenly he's just going fully side to side. And I remember thinking to myself, it was like slow motion just clicked in, and it was like, I just put this bike back together. I'm about to crash it again. I was like, but I managed to hold it together. We figured out what the problem was, went back, changed it, and then it was fine. But on this bike, I've not had it yet. It's been fairly stable without a steering that, but on nakeds you will get a lot more wobble than on other bikes. I guess it's just a wind resistance or something, I don't know.
Exhaust was done, tail tidy, mirrors. What else in terms of mods?
There's a flash tune on it, on the ECU. I don't know what it is. It was the previous owner. I will probably get it retuned because when I bought it, it had the baffle in. I don't know whether he tuned it to the baffle or not, but it does pop a bang a lot. Like it will shoot flames pretty big. Like if I'm downshifting hard, during the day you won't see as much, but at night it's a nice big blue flame. So it's fun, but it doesn't run that smooth. So I want to get a little bit of smoothness back in at some point. It's just more the cost than anything, you know, getting it on the dyno, getting it set up properly. But
and how much are you looking at to get it on a dyno, roughly?
My sister's boyfriend has the MT-09, I think it's the year before, and it's not the SP, and he had it done, I think 2 years ago, and he's done it for not extra power, nothing like that. He just wanted the smoothest longevity, sort of, so the bike is as healthy as it can be for as long as it can be. And it cost him, I think, £430.
Okay, well, it's quite a bit of the money.
It is a lot, yeah. Like, you know, for me, I don't earn enough to just throw that, you know, at the bike. Like, I don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Man, I'm saving on that seat, which is like 160 quid, and I'm like, I got used to uncomfortable. As long as it rides, I'm happy with it. So how long you riding?
Since 2019.
And you have this for 1 year.
Yeah.
Imagine like perfect scenario. You can have as many bikes as you want, and you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So the lineup would be this. This stays forever. This, I'm not getting rid of this unless I completely ruin it or it explodes. I'm not getting rid of it. I love this bike more than any bike I've had so far. Probably the R1M for the engine and the sound again. It's just, I'm not going to be able to use that bike to its full potential by any means. But I love the way they look, I love the way they sound. Even though apparently it's one of the most uncomfortable sports bikes on the market, which probably would sit in a garage most of the time.
Did you try it?
No, not yet. I've tried a Suzuki Gixxer 1000, the GSXR 1000, and that was, I almost got that. The only reason why I said no, I would have had the bike, but when my friend kept telling me to check insurance, I was like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. It was $6.5 grand if I wanted to go to that bike. So he kind of saved me.
Yeah, definitely, man. What's your absolutely high-end dream bike?
Probably the H2R.
Is it?
Yeah, probably wouldn't be able to ride it because that bike just is nuts. I mean, it's like 300 something horsepower out of the factory. So it's I don't know where that would be usable. Definitely not in London. And also it'd probably get nicked in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Like the only comparison I have to owning a bike in London is like having a baby. Like you always want to see where it is and make sure it's like there and safe the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing's perfect. What are the things that you don't like about this?
The riding position is not ideal. I don't know whether it's my size or I feel like I've got awkward proportions on my body, right?
Okay.
And like when I sit on it, my ass hurts quite a lot, but it's not the seat because the seat itself is quite comfortable.
Yeah,
it's just how it kind of makes you sit like a fucking banana. Like it kind of does that to your lower back. So then you sit there like a Harley rider that's been riding 50 years and he's just in this position permanently. So that's the only thing is like, I've hit a couple of bumps, my tailbone hurts. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's just, I know you can get a comfort seat, which is slightly different shape and it has like a little lip on the back where like you can lean into if you're like riding faster. So I'm gonna try that at some point. But again, that's like 360 quid. So it's a lot. It's not something I need right away, but yeah, I would say the riding position, if it was a bit more leaning forward, which I think you can fix with slightly lower bars, sort of like more of a flat bar. So I might try that at some point. But I would say that's the biggest downside for me, personally.
Is there anything else you don't like about this bike?
Not really.
What's the fuel consumption on this? How much?
I don't like that. I don't like that very much. So it's depends.
How much you pay for the full tank here in London, UK? 2024.
If it's like almost completely dry, I would say probably squeeze in about 22 pounds, 23 pounds of fuel. This is the premium fuel though.
All right.
I think the tank is like 12 liters, so it's not massive, but it gets me around. Like I'll fill up every other day maybe, maybe every 3 days, depending on like how much riding I'm doing and you know if I'm running late for work or not. Because if I am, then I'm burning up more of that fuel. Also, interesting fact, I found this out recently because I've done the major service on this bike, so they've done the valve clearance on the engine. They said that after that service, the economy goes down, so you actually burn through more fuel, which is, I've never heard this before, but that's what they told me, and I was like, are you just making up excuses? They were like, no, we've had a guy come back in here after the service, and he was like, why is my bike burning more fuel? And they were like, it's just something that happens. Because obviously the valves start working better, they check the clearance to make sure that they open up and close as they should. I guess they just work better, so they have more clearance or whatever, and it just lets through more fuel. And especially with a full system, there's a lot of unburnt fuel that gets through, and that's why I was saying it gets quite big flames because there's a lot of fuel just going through the engine and not actually being used.
So how much do you reckon you can get of full tank on average? How many miles?
It does have a miles per gallon sort of indicator. So if I'm on the motorway, I'm doing like steady 70 in sixth gear, it would say on the dash that it's going to do about 80 miles per gallon, and I think the tank is like 2 and a bit, maybe 3, something like that. I can't remember the conversion from liters, but through the city it's going to be nowhere near that much. It's going to be a lot lower. Like, let's see actually, miles per gallon. Okay, 7 miles per gallon apparently, which is nothing. I think that's...
Well, yeah, that's bike.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not going to be as low as that. I'm not sure why that happens, but it's one of those things. But I wouldn't change it for anything, though. That's my dream. Also, R9. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be like.
That's the same engine, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not this one. So this is actually the 850. The newer MT-09s are 890 or 899. I can't remember which one, but it's going to have the newer engine, so slightly bigger displacement than this one. This was the Gen 2, and from Gen 3 they've put in the slightly bigger, better engine.
What would you say to people considering this bike? Something like must know. Like, imagine yourself doing the research and you thinking about this bike. What would you like to know then?
It looks better in person than it does in pictures. Especially the pictures you get on Auto Trader or whatever. In person it has definitely a better sort of, like visually it's more appealing. When you see it, you see all the angles and stuff. Especially if you're riding and catch yourself in a like a reflection somewhere. The bike, the shapes of it from the sort of side on angle just looks so good. So it definitely looks better in person. It sounds ridiculous with a full system exhaust. So if you're planning on getting it, try and get one with an exhaust already, because the stock one sounds really bad. You'll never go back. That'll be it. Like, I got it, I fell in love with it. Everyone who I know that's had the MT-09, whichever gen, they love it. I would say go for a test ride, try one with an exhaust, because once you hear it, that CP3 engine just has that special note, and it will capture your heart for sure. First
thing I heard about Yamaha when I had one, but that was my 125 3-wheeler thingy, that you can't go wrong with Yamaha. That's how I introduced the video industry standard, because those bikes are like bulletproof.
How often do you see videos on YouTube where they compare other street bikes or naked bikes within a similar sort of engine range compared to the MT-09? Because it is like the industry standard for a reason. It's like, it is popular. A lot of people ride Yamaha, especially the MT-07s and MT-09s. I see them all around London, and I never see one broken down on the side of the road, ever. Like, for how people ride them, those bikes can take a lot of beating. Exactly. Yeah, I fully recommend this bike. If you're stuck between different ones, try this. If you like nakeds, It's not very sporty riding position, that's the only thing. Like I said, the riding position is a bit commutery almost, but when you hit that throttle, you forget about all that and just enjoy it.
If you like this type of content, please hit that subscribe button for more. And man, thank you very much for letting host us this bike, and thank you very much for being here with me. I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to shoot more stuff with you and with this bike, and maybe with your girlfriend and her bike in the future, man.
Trident 660, that'll be the next one.
Listen, thank you very much once again, yeah? Thank you very much for hosting this one, and it was absolutely joy today to try this bike and have it in a video, and I'm looking forward for the next videos with you guys.
Oh man, we're gonna do a lot.